A 150-pound Cane Corso spent 2 years in a shelter because every time a human reached for her, she collapsed and stopped breathing. 3 families tried. 3 families returned her within a week. The staff stopped opening her kennel. They slid food under the gate and walked away. Then one woman sat on the concrete floor of that kennel, didn't say a word, didn't move a muscle, and waited for 53 minutes. What happened on day 21 is something no one in that shelter will ever forget. Some dogs are afraid of thunder. Some dogs are afraid of fireworks. And then there was Kira, a 150-pound Cane Corso who was afraid of hands. Not loud sounds, not other animals. Hands, human hands, every single one of them. Kira spent 738 days at the Whitfield County Animal Shelter in Northwest Georgia. She was brought in by animal control after being found chained to a concrete block behind an abandoned auto shop. No collar, no chip, no name. The officer who picked her up said she was the biggest dog he had ever handled and the most terrified animal he had ever seen. When he reached for her, she didn't bite, she didn't run, she dropped flat to the ground, pressed her face into the dirt, and stopped moving entirely, like she was playing dead, like she had learned that being still was the only thing that kept her safe. The shelter vet estimated she was around 2 years old. She had scars on her muzzle from what appeared to be a wire muzzle worn too long. Her front left paw had a healed fracture that was never set properly, and she had a flinch response so severe that the behavioral team classified her as untouchable. For 738 days, not a single person touched Kira. Not because she was aggressive. She never once bared her teeth. She never growled. She never snapped. But every time a hand reached within 6 inches of her body, she collapsed, flat on the ground, eyes shut, ears pinned, trembling so violently that the kennel walls shook. The shelter staff tried everything: slow approaches, treat trails, calming pheromones. Nothing worked. 3 families attempted to adopt her. The first lasted 3 days. They said watching a dog shut down every time you moved was unbearable. The second family kept her for 5 days and returned her, saying she wouldn't eat, wouldn't drink, wouldn't look at them. The third family lasted 2 weeks. They wrote a note when they brought her back. "We love her, but she doesn't know how to let us." After that, the shelter stopped trying. Kira was moved to the back row. They fed her by sliding the bowl under the gate. Some days the volunteers would sit outside her kennel and talk to her. She never responded. She just lay in the corner, facing the wall, like she was waiting for something that would never come. Here is something most people don't know about Cane Corsos. Beneath the muscle and the massive head and the jaw that can exert 700 pounds of pressure, they are one of the most emotionally sensitive breeds in the world. They bond deeply. They remember everything. And when that bond is broken by cruelty, the damage doesn't heal on its own. It takes someone willing to wait. Rachel Torres was 29, a veterinary behaviorist who had just finished her residency at the University of Georgia. She specialized in trauma cases, dogs that had been so severely abused that traditional rehabilitation methods didn't work. She had heard about Kira through a colleague who volunteered at the shelter. "There's one in the back row nobody can reach," the colleague said. "She's been here 2 years." Rachel drove to the shelter on a Saturday morning. She asked to see the intake file. She read every note, every failed assessment, every returned adoption form. Then she asked them to open the kennel. She walked in slowly. Kira was in the far corner, pressed against the wall. Rachel sat down on the cold concrete floor 4 feet away and did something that no one at that shelter had tried. Nothing. She did absolutely nothing. She didn't extend her hand. She didn't speak. She didn't make eye contact. She sat with her back slightly turned and her eyes on the floor, and she breathed, slowly, quietly, for 53 minutes. I see you're still here but haven't subscribed yet. That honestly breaks my heart a little. We pour everything into these stories. Hit that subscribe button. You'll want to see what happens next. Kira didn't move for the first 40 minutes. But at minute 41, her ear twitched. At minute 47, she shifted her weight. And at minute 53, she opened one eye and looked directly at Rachel for the first time. It was the first time in over a year that Kira had voluntarily looked at a human being. Rachel came back the next day, and the day after that, and every single day for 3 straight weeks. Same position, same silence, same patience. She never reached, she never rushed, she just showed up. On day 8, Kira moved 2 inches closer. On day 12, she sniffed the air in Rachel's direction. On day 17, she sniffed Rachel's shoe. Each movement was so small that only someone watching the security camera footage would have noticed, but Rachel noticed everything. Stories like these are exactly why we do what we do. If this made you feel something, you're not alone. On day 21, Rachel was sitting with her eyes closed when she felt it, something warm, heavy, and trembling pressed against her knee. She opened her eyes and looked down. Kira had placed her massive head on Rachel's leg. Her whole body was shaking. Her ears were flat, her eyes were shut. But she was choosing to touch a human being for the first time in over 2 years. Rachel didn't move. Tears ran down her face, but she didn't make a sound. She let Kira stay exactly where she was for as long as she needed. 22 minutes. Kira stayed for 22 minutes. Rachel signed the adoption papers that afternoon. The first month at home was slow. Kira stayed in the corner of the guest room for the first week. She ate only when Rachel left the room. But by week 2, she was eating with Rachel sitting nearby. By week 3, she followed Rachel to the kitchen for the first time. And by the end of the month, she did something that made Rachel call her colleague at midnight, sobbing. Kira climbed onto the couch, pressed her entire 150-pound body against Rachel's side, buried her face in Rachel's neck, and for the first time since anyone had known her, she stopped shaking. Today, Kira is 5 years old. She still flinches sometimes when someone moves too quickly. She probably always will. But every morning, she pushes her head under Rachel's hand, asking to be touched. Every evening, she climbs onto that same couch, buries her face in the same spot on Rachel's neck, and holds on like she is terrified of ever letting go. Because sometimes love isn't loud. Sometimes love is just someone sitting on a cold floor, asking for nothing, offering everything, and refusing to leave. 738 days, nobody touched her. Now she won't let go of the one person who waited. Do you think dogs like Kira can ever fully heal, or do they just learn who is safe enough to fall apart with? Tell me in the comments.